everyone. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Today's video, I have an FX alien look using some pieces from RBFX. Hope you sit back and enjoy the video. Since this would be hard to paint while on, I did end up pre-painting the two pieces. The face is MF87 and the cowl is MAH2. Went ahead and sealed the pieces with some Prosthetic and powdered it. Begin with Skin Illustrator Electric Orange Liquid and airbrush noodling patterns all over. I did grab the face and went ahead and added some of the color while it was out. Then back to the head, add some more color into the wrinkles and details. Onto Sedona out of the Skin Illustrator Grunge palette, used on the markings up the head and add some shading in larger spaces. Take that palette again and use Din with a thin brush and paint it in all the sculpture details. Put some of the color in an airbrush and go over the same areas to add softer shading. Not too worried about getting this perfect, the next steps will clean it all up. Then I finish it up with a quick spatter. With Skin Illustrator Prime Red out of the FX palette, concentrate the spatter along the markings in the center of the cowl, then spatter lightly over the rest. Same palette, use the burnt orange, focusing it heavier on the contour areas. Took Skin Illustrator Taxi Color and spattered over the piece. Then used a brush to fill up my airbrush with the Taxi shade, and using it on the high points along the head. I'm noodling it a little bit for some added texture. Spatter some Skin Illustrator Prime Yellow over everything. Bring some of the Prime Red onto the markings and also in the divots and the sides. And bringing it onto the back. Take Skin Illustrator Violet and a torn makeup sponge and lightly stamp over the redder areas. I ended up changing my painting plan partway through, so I covered up some markings I did with some MEL Products paint and Shibui. Sponged some Skin Illustrator Burnt Orange over the new Shibui area and the purple spaces. With the Grunge palette, use the color Sand and sponge it on the high points. And spattered that color afterwards. With the white out of the FX palette, spatter it over the lighter areas of the head. Then use the Prime Red and spattered that next. Went ahead and sponged some more of the white and spattered some of it just to brighten up some areas. Then onto the face, start to sponge the white over the whole piece. And start carving out some of the details with Skin Illustrator Vein Tone. First airbrushing it and then applying it with a brush. Creating markings by sponging burnt orange with a sponge, followed by spattering the orange color in the same areas than Prime Red. Darken the markings with the Skin Illustrator Violet and finish it with a spatter of the same color. Took some burnt orange and an airbrush and went over the violet, then start to softly shade the deep areas in the face. Using the Shibui Products paint, lightly stamp on the high areas and spatter some of the Prime Yellow over everything. Then with some of the white, careful not to get too much over the markings, and switch to the burnt orange in the new shadow areas. I then airbrushed some blue Bayou in the blue areas and added some going down the nose and the jaw. Took some of the color and added it to the head and finished with a sponge white on the high points. Now for the makeup application. Airbrush noodling with electric orange and sponge Skin Illustrator Burnt Orange down the sides of the neck and arms, then spatter the same color all over. Then airbrush some burnt orange in the contour areas and add some detail on the chest, followed with the Prime Red to darken. Also created splotches along the sides. Sponge Skin Illustrator Violet to really deepen the size of the body, and then spatter the same color. Sponge some white to create some highlights, and spatter over the areas to break it up. Sharpen up the details on the chest, and then take some blue Bayou, making the chest look more similar to the textures on the face. Brighten up the white highlights with the airbrush, then use Black Mayron Star Blend to create a darker shading between the highlight and the blue. With Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina Pro Pigment Volume 1 palette, use C1 and really bump up the white. Then to tie it all in, some violet and prime red spatter. Even sponge some of the prime red on the shadow areas and the outer parts of the violet. Now for the prosthetics. Begin with applying the cowl using Prosthetic adhesive. And then the face. First lining up the nose and the center of the face, then working my way out. Then finish gluing the lower half of the face. Once it's all down, take a little bit of Prosthetic to the edges to help blend them in, and once dry, powder it down with some Skin Illustrator Zero Color powder. Then sponge the purple, orange, and red to tie in the head and the face pieces together. Also blending the back of the cowl to the body. Use a brush around the eyes to bring the color into the exposed skin. Also spatter those same colors in the newly painted areas. Seal it all with Skin Illustrator Zero Marble Sealer. Then back to the same colors and just layering it to tie it all in. Also brush the burnt orange paint in the mouth and the areas close to the eye. Went in with some of the white and sponged some areas to brighten. Airbrush some noodling of the violet in the darker spaces and then add some to the lips. I also added some little spot details around the eyes and going onto the nose. Put in some scaleras and fill in the waterline with KVD Vegan Beauty Lash Liner. Followed with some D5 pigment from the Norvina palette to lightly feather out from the lash line. To finish everything off, took Skin Illustrator Love Shine to give the prosthetic an organic sheen. Applying it on the high points with a sponge, then spritzing all over. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.